This video is about different ways to describe the rule for input-output tables involving subtraction. Sometimes we think that there is only one way to write a rule, but then we see problems like this. The table below shows a relationship between the input numbers and the output numbers generated by a number machine. Which of the following does not describe the rule? This means that 3 of my answer choices are going to be correct and only 1 of them will be incorrect. So I'm going to start by figuring out the rule for this table. I'm looking at my output and I notice that it's less than my input, so I'm going to subtract to see if I can find my rule. 56 minus 42 equals 14. So it looks like my rule is going to be minus 14, but let's test the others to see if it stays the same. So I've subtracted all of my pairs and I see that the difference is always 14. That means that my rule is input minus 14 equals the output. That's the first main way that we are going to write the rule. But we can also use what we know about related facts and the equal sign to write it in 3 more ways. First, I'm going to think about what I know about related facts. I know that if I'm going to go from input to output, I am going to subtract. But if I go from output to input, I'm going to add that same amount. So I can also write it like this. The output plus 14 equals the input. Now that I've written those 2 related facts, I'm going to use what I know about the equal sign, that everything on this side is the same as everything on this side, and I'm going to flip them around to write it another way. The output is equal to the input minus 14. And I'm going to do the same thing over here. What's on this side of the equal sign and what's on this side of the equal sign are going to be flipped around. The input is equal to the output plus 14. Now that I have written my rule in 4 different ways, I can use that to compare my answer choices. Now, as I look at my answer choices and compare them to what I have written, I see that my answer is B, because that's the only one that does not match what I have written. Here's another example. Each number put into a machine changes according to a rule. Some examples are shown below. Which of the following does not describe the rule? As you can see, I have already done the subtracting work, and I have found that my rule is input minus 25 equals the output. Now let's write it in 3 more ways. My related fact is going to go the opposite direction, and it's going to add. My output plus 25 is equal to my input. Now we're going to flip our expressions on either side of the equal sign. I have flipped my expressions on either side of the equal sign and written it in 2 more ways. Now we're ready to compare what we have written to our answer choices. And as we look at our answer choices, we can see that the only one that does not match what we wrote is D, where it says the input plus 25 is the output, which is not correct.